Hello there, it is first quarter results time with Volition RX. I'm joined by Cameron Reynolds, who is the CEO. We're speaking to you from London, but immediately after this interview, we'll be boarding a jet bound for New York because on Friday, May the 13th, we will be having a capital markets day in the New York Stock Exchange, and you can join us. There'll be a live element, but also a hybrid online element. And if you want to join that, you can see the details here. But Cameron, a really busy first quarter.
Yes, Nick, yes, yet again, we've been very, very busy on a lot of different fronts. And I think it's one of the most important quarters we've ever had because we signed our first really big deal, and it really was a big deal. We signed with the Heska Corporation, one of the world's leading vet companies, exclusively selling our tests at the point of care. So a very big financial outcome for us, and one that which we have the milestone payments and also a lot of revenue we expect to be making from the up to $10 per test as we continue to sell the test as they sell them through their network. And we also greatly expanded our team in the US, most notably Sharon Ballesteros this last month joined us. She joined us directly from Grail, and she's going to be really helping us define the FDA strategy and making sure we do as good a job as we can at launching our first US human products.
You mentioned Heska, and normally we're joined by Dr. Tom Buteri, who heads Volition Veterinary, but he is going to be one of our stars at the New York Stock Exchange. So in place of him being here with us, maybe you could just drill down a little bit more into that Heska deal, the top line headlines.
Yes, so not to steal his thunder for tomorrow, he's doing the presentation, so please listen in if you can. But so the headlines are, we get large upfront payments. We've banked $10 million already, which is a huge outcome for us, a very good source of revenue. And also we have 18 million more in milestone payments. We could reasonably expect to get between now and the end of next year, which alone would be about 60% of the burn for the entire company in those 2 years. So that's a very good outcome. But don't forget, and this is very important, we also make revenue from each kit they sell in the reference lab or in the point of care, up to $10 per test. And I think Heska would not be signing a deal with us if they did not think the market size was in the millions of tests per year. And we have ongoing negotiations for the reference labs worldwide. And don't forget, we also signed Sage late last year, and they have now launched. It takes a few months to get things ready, and they have now launched. So absolutely massive month and quarter for the vet market.
So what you're saying here, and we'll come to Sage in a moment, but every time a Heska kit is sold, basically you're making money off the back of that.
Absolutely, and that provides us very strong revenue we'd expect if sales go as well as we'd expect, and of course as well as Heska would expect, that they're not going to sign a deal with us and give us upfront payments unless they thought it was potentially a very good product. So, you know, we only burn in the 20s of millions of dollars per year, so a few million tests per year times up to $10 per test. It could be very, very meaningful in making us a company where we have very strong revenue coming through, as well as the milestones.
You mentioned Sage, and Volition has a potent presence in Asia, and we'll be hearing more about that at the Capital Markets Day as well. But talk to me a little bit more about Sage. They've now launched in Singapore.
Yes, they have. So they're a very good leading company in Singapore. Singapore is a small country in Asia, but quite a rich country, and with very strongly attached to their pets. So we thought, given our footprint there and Dr. Quay and the team in Singapore, we could keep a close eye and make sure we can work with them to make sure the launch goes well. In Q1, we've made the first sales to Sage, so the first revenue coming from outside the US in the vet market, so that's also a nice milestone. Expect it to start small. We're going through the process, a bit like the beta launch in Texas, where working out what's happening in Singapore, but we have very big plans. We'd like to launch throughout Southeast Asia and perhaps the rest of Asia using Sage and the experience we've got from that.
We're going to deal with the numbers in a bit more detail just before we finish, but before that, let's look on the human side. Update us on Nu.Q Capture.
Yeah, Nu.Q Capture is a very, very interesting part of what we do. So in the human cancer field, we've really jumped a generation or two of tests to looking for something even more accurate and sensitive and specific than what we had with our plate-based formats and the beads and the ELISAs. So there are 4 main strands to Nu.Q Capture, and we're extremely excited. We think it's got a strong chance of either being disruptive or really helping liquid biopsy companies to meet the promise of what we're doing. So the work's going on in our new lab in California and in Belgium. I just visited the lab in California last month. A very exciting group of people there, and I'll be in Belgium next month. The team's working incredibly well. It's very exciting, and we should have a lot of information on that through this year and next.
And recently you had a genome webinar.
Yes, so we're at the heart of epigenetics, and our current platform is very well developed and stable and robust, and we're launching a range of products. But we really want to keep on the cutting edge of what we're doing because it's a really exciting field, and to be at the heart of it and making sure we're up to date is extremely important. So we had a webinar last week, and that focused on Nu.Q capture, on the mass spec side in particular. And I think it was incredibly encouraging how many people attended. It was over 300. But also, more importantly than how many who attended, there was a lot of big industry players in the liquid biopsy space, also a lot of academia. They asked some fantastic questions. So we're really becoming at the heart of what's happening in epigenetics. So very, very encouraging. And I think that will be the next generation of tests on top of what we have. And the next one is on netosis over the summer. And then on the Capital Markets Day, we're getting a lot of interest as well. And if anyone can really attend or listen in, we'll go into a lot more detail on Nu.Q NET and Nu.Q Vet, which are the closest to products and development now. What the strategy is, what the market is, what the revenue projections could be, what the addressable markets are, really kind of important to all those areas.
Well, let's conclude by really making you earn your money. You're doing all the roles today because we're going to get you to do the financials as well.
Yes, well, we finished the quarter with more than we did last time, with 23.7, and that was a function of the $10 million in cash we got from the Heska deal. Q1 is always a big quarter for us. You start the year off and there's lots of things to be paid, but we're keeping a very tight rein on the money that we spend. We have the money coming in we would expect from revenues from the sales, and also, of course, from the milestone payments if we deliver, and we expect to. So we're in a good financial position. We're keeping a tight rein, particularly when we're doing so many different things. But the key aspect to all this, it's all on the same platform. So we can do a lot with what is for all the other companies very, very little. So I'm very comfortable with where we are and where we're going on the finance, as well as all the key areas.
Okay, Cameron, thanks very much for joining us. And as we've said, we're both going to be in New York on Friday for the Capital Markets Day. Details again here. Join us. We'll be live, but also on a webinar as well. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much, Cameron.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone.